A wise man once said, "Software is like sex. It's better when it's free." While it's arguable that everything is better when it's free, that really depends on your perspective. However, we're not talking about communism today. We're talking about Linux and its different distributions. I guess we are talking about communism. Debian is the granddaddy of many popular distros, including Ubuntu. If you think of distros as crime families, Debian is the godfather, while Ubuntu is the son who spread the family name by being one of the first distros that only required a master's degree to install. While Debian might be one of the biggest and most built upon distros of all time, it's also kinda like the brick your dad says was his favorite toy. It never breaks, it's very reliable, and technically a brick can be anything. But then again, all he had was a brick. What does he know about toys? Jumping back to Ubuntu, what was once a loved distro by many, both on desktop and server, has begun to receive hate for several reasons, but most notably for selling user data. However, Ubuntu is still the father to many notable distros, such as Mint, which is great if you're transitioning from Windows. Elementary OS is great if you're transitioning. In case you didn't get that one, what I'm trying to say is Apple is so expensive, you often need to sell something to afford one of their products. Sometimes it's a kidney, this time it's your testicles. Totally worth it. Kali is great for cracking your friend's Wi-Fi password, and you get to feel like Mr. Robot, which is also nice. And Tails is from when you discover incognito doesn't do anything more than delete your browser history. My personal recommendation for anyone who wants to switch distros or try something new is Fedora. It's basically the Tesla of the Linux world, before we found out their cars are about as reliable as a weather forecast on April Fool's Day. Fedora is developed by the guys at Red Hat. Now, if Debian is a crime family, Red Hat is a crime organization that got rich by giving you free software, then charging you to fix it when you fuck up. Red Hat got acquired for $35 billion by IBM, which really makes me wonder where IBM gets their money from, but also means Red Hat probably does something right, and it shows in Fedora. If this reads as an ad, it's not because Red Hat is threatening me or something, I just really love this distro. If you're serious about Linux, you might want to try Arch. If Linux is an engine, then distros are vehicles. Some are small, some are fast, some are reliable, some are modern. Arch kinda just gives you the engine and the welding machine without even wishing you luck. If you've ever opened a Lego set and started assembling it without the instructions, Arch might just be the distro for you. There are many benefits to being able to pick and choose what you like in a distro. Want a minimalist setup with just a terminal and text editor? Done. Want a fully fledged desktop environment with all the bells and whistles? Also done. But let's face it, there's a reason why people buy complete cars instead of building their own. It's because they aren't on our level. If you're running Arch, every issue is a learning experience, or as some might call it, a lesson in humility. But maybe you're a little too lazy to read 4,000 pages of documentation in order to install an operating system. This is where Manjaro comes into play. You get a functioning OS out of the box and are legally allowed to say, "I use Arch by the way." It also has an active community and plenty of support, so when you're stuck, you don't have to dive into the abyss of ArchWiki. Instead, you can ask in forums where people might actually reply with something other than read the fucking manual. If you want to switch to Linux but are having a hard time because of how difficult gaming on Linux is, Pop! OS might be what you're looking for. It's loved by both the gaming and developer community, and is generally easy to use, sleek, and modern. But I play League of Legends, and you can't play that on Linux. That's all the more reason to install Linux. You've been Heartstuck Silver for 8 seasons already, you'll be doing yourself a favor. I'm sorry, this one just hits a little too close to home. Now that we're approaching the end of the video, you might be worried that your favorite distro hasn't been mentioned yet. Now, while mentioning every distro is almost impossible, I can give you a short description of a few of the more popular ones that I haven't mentioned yet. Zorin OS is a child of Windows and Linux's love affair. Deepin is bad because China steal my data. OpenSUSE is more reliable than your grandparents' Toyota. Puppy Linux has a cute name. Lubuntu is great if your 1998 ThinkPad still works. Xubuntu is like Lubuntu, but Elon Musk named it. Slackware is the distro equivalent of a crocodile. It hasn't changed in the past 14 million years. Gentoo is great if you're a masochist. Clear Linux is kinda like Bun, it's about as fast as it is buggy. NixOS is literally one big configuration file, and Void Linux has a really cool name. If I still haven't mentioned your distro, then I apologize, but maybe next time use a distro I can actually make fun of. Maybe you're thinking to yourself, well, it's a good thing I don't use Linux. I'm not some sweaty nerd who torments himself by running a crappy hobby project as an OS. Well, chances are you're running the crappiest distro of them all on the very device you're watching this video from. Nerd. If you've only ever had an Apple device though, then I hope you enjoy your life without testicles.